financial decision, right? Probably the biggest one you'll ever make until you buy your next house. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So my goal for the next few minutes while I explain the process, and like Harvey said, I can't give you everything in 15 minutes, but if you like what you heard today and you want to learn more, we could set up an appointment and go over your situation. So we're going to make the process simple. I want to help you understand what your options are, give you confidence before you begin so you know what is step one that I need to take before I can go house shopping. And then I've got a couple of tips and tricks to guarantee success and avoid any common mistakes that people make. Okay, so we're going right to the very basics. I don't know any of you, I know two of you, but everybody else is new to me, so I'm going to start right from the bottom and we're going to build our way up. So we'll get to the pro stuff towards the end. So what is a mortgage? A mortgage is simply the loan that you use to purchase a house. A down payment is required to obtain a mortgage. Does anybody know what a down payment is? So it's money that you're bringing into the deal. Okay, some common terms that you'll hear along the way when you're shopping for a house. If you meet with me to get pre-approved, we're going to talk about the amortization. Come on in, come find a seat. We're going to talk about the amortization, which is the total life of the loan. Usually 25 or 30 years is pretty common here in Winnipeg. We're going to talk about the term, which is a contracted amount of time between you and a lender. Usually 3 or 5 years is pretty common here in Winnipeg. The interest rate is what a lender is going to charge you to get the loan. And then we're going to talk, principal balance is how much you owe on the mortgage. Is that all clear? Awesome. Okay, next slide. What is a down payment? Down payment is the money that you need to bring to the loan. So we're going to start at point number 1 here. The minimum down payment that you'll need to buy a house is 5%. So 5% on the first $500,000, and then anything $500,001 and above is 10%. And then if you're going to buy a house more than $1.5 million, I'm very sorry, you're going to have 20%. So very sorry to bring you that sad news today. If you're bringing less to buy a house, a high ratio mortgage. Because you're bringing less than that 20% down, it needs to be insured. Has anybody here heard of CMHC insurance before? So basically, because you're on a lender sees you as a bit of a higher risk, so in turn they say, hey, we would mortgage to be insured, so if something doesn't go well, then we're not out the money. So it allows buyers, especially first-time home buyers, to purchase sooner, right? Because if you want to buy a $500,000 house and you have to bring 20%, that's $100,000. Not many of us have that just sitting in an account. So when we're doing a high ratio mortgage, it lets us bring a little bit less money into the picture to make the purchase possible. Now, there are some common ways that you can save your down payment. The number one thing, if you've never bought a house before, I recommend you go do this first thing tomorrow, is to open up an FHSA account, First Home Savings Account. It is a newer type of savings account in Canada that allows you to reap some tax benefits, and you can grow your money inside that account and use it for the down payment on a property. You can only have this account if you are a first-time home buyer. Other accounts that you can save in is like a regular savings account, a high-interest savings account, a tax-free savings account. You can also borrow if you already have RRSP savings. The government of Canada has what's called the Home Buyers Plan. It allows you to use up to $60,000 of money you already have in an RRSP, as long as you pay that back within 15 years, but you can use that for your down payment. And you can also receive a family gift to use for your down payment as well. Any questions on that? Am I going too fast? Okay, everybody seems pretty engaged. Thank you. Okay, so before we get really into it, there's sort of 2 places that you can go to get a mortgage. You can go to your bank, or you can work with someone like the brokerage side of things. If you work with someone like me, I have access to multiple lenders and products. We have over 30 lenders within Castle Mortgage that we can pair a lender to your exact financial situation. A bank kind of has their one product that they sell. Not a bad thing. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I'm a little bit more specialized. My services are free to clients. the lender will pay me a commission so that all the advice that you receive, you don't have to pay for, which is kind of my favorite part of the job. I provide personalized guidance and access. Like the other night, Harvey was able to call me at 6:30 p.m. because he had a quick question. I have that same opportunity for clients where sometimes a client will say, well, I want to meet with you and then I want to meet with my bank, but I can't meet with them for 10 days. And I'm like, well, we're meeting right now. Is that valuable to you? Is it not? So it could be convenient to go to your bank. They might not have time to meet with you. I always have time to meet with my clients. Harvey and Sarah work very closely with me, so I'm in tight communication with them, and we're doing everything that we can to make sure everything goes well through the process. And we don't know if that's the same at a bank or not. Yeah, the other thing about a bank is that their break penalties might be a bit higher than the lenders that I have access to. Bank people, we don't know what training they have. Some are excellently trained and have worked in the mortgage industry and switched over to the bank side. Sometimes they had a 2-hour training seminar. I'm licensed through Mortgage Professionals Canada and I have ongoing training. So there's my little pitch for why you should pick a broker over a bank. Okay, so now that we've gone through all that, the reason that I'm presenting first is because you should meet with me before you start looking at houses. And if you were to meet with me before you started shopping, we are going to get you set up with a pre-approval. A pre-approval means that I'm going to sit down with you, find out some information about your financial situation, what kind of work you do, where your down payment is, and we're going to verify everything. So we go through the bank statements, we go through the pay stubs, we get a job letter, we look at your debt ratios, and then you know when I give you a number, say, okay, you guys can spend $500,000. You know that I've combed through all the paperwork and you are good to spend that. The difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification is very different. Some banks will just ask you, well, how much do you make? And they'll ask you, well, how much down payment do you have? Now, there are so many rules and regulations within what kind of income is acceptable and how much of it can you use, that if they don't ask for the paperwork to verify all of this, and they just say, yeah, go ahead and spend, I don't know, $500,000. If they don't take that time to verify that, all you have is a pre-qualification, and we don't really know if that number is going to stick or not. So if you meet with someone like me, and we go through your pre-approval, the number is solid. So the goal of getting this pre-approval finished is that you can shop confidently knowing that that is your actual budget. Okay, the buying process is pretty simple. Step one is meet with me and we get a pre-approval. We do all the homework up front, all of the, looking for paperwork and pay stubs and everything like that. Then you get to go do the fun part and go look at houses. You can find a home. You can get set up with a matrix search. You can make Harvey show you 100 houses, right? And then you find the house that you like and you make an offer. You say, I would like to offer you $500,000 for your house, sir. And then if that offer is accepted, we will put a financing condition in that offer. Sorry, we put a financing condition in that offer before we make it. So a financing condition says, hey, I would love to buy this house. And if you say yes, I just need a couple extra days to make sure that all the financing is going to go through, right? So the pre-approval is before approval, right? So in the pre-approval, we look at you guys as the buyers. And then during that financing condition, we look at the house that you're buying to make sure that the lender likes it. So once we have those two pieces in place, then we can move over to the final approval. And we sign some paperwork, and we celebrate, and we have some fun. And then you're going to buy homeowner's insurance. And then you're going to meet with your lawyer to sign all of the legal paperwork. And then we wait till possession day. And it really is that easy, as long as you've got a team of people helping you through the process. All right? Now, there are some costs that you should consider beyond your down payment. And I want to make sure that you have this in your plan so there's no surprises as we move towards your possession day. You need to plan for legal fees. You need to plan for land transfer tax. You need to get a home inspection. I mean, you could go without a home inspection, but I would not recommend it. You need to plan for property tax adjustments and for your moving costs. Now, when you're working with me, a lender is going to want to see that you have 1.5% of the total purchase price available to cover this. But in Manitoba, I would recommend saving closer to 3%. Does that make sense? Okay, I see people taking notes, so I'll slow down a little bit. But the 1.5% is what a lender wants to see available to you in your accounts, but make sure you've got some extra, because in our business, there is no such thing as a good surprise. Surprises will pop up and they always have dollar signs attached to them. So if you've got a little bit of buffer in your savings, then that means you can, if a surprise comes up, you can cover it. We can still get to closing day successfully. And if we have no surprises, then you have some extra money and maybe you go buy a couch or something, right? So that's basically what the process looks like and what costs you can expect beyond a down payment. Now, let's move into some tips and tricks that you can consider before you get into the home buying process. The number one thing that's going to slow you down is if you have excessive debt in your life. So I would recommend, before you go home shopping, do your best to take care of your debt. You are allowed to have a little bit, but debts can really decrease your maximum purchase price. Second thing, I already mentioned this, if you're a first-time home buyer, go open an FHSA and start saving in that account tomorrow. Okay, delay taking on new debts. What do I mean by that? I would recommend, if you need a house and a new car, buy the house first. Okay? Because if you buy the car before you buy the house, then that means we have to take that car payment and we have to consider that in your total debt service ratio, which on my next slide, I've got a really surprising number for you. If you can, keep your income and employment steady where possible. The biggest thing that I see in my industry that stops a closing from happening is someone changes jobs like in the middle of buying a house. And then all of a sudden, you might be on like a 90-day probation, and then all of a sudden a new lender says, well, we don't love that you're on probation, so we're gonna say no to the deal. So try and keep your income and employment steady where possible. And of course, because I work in the mortgage industry, I would say connect with a mortgage specialist sooner than you think. Because I love meeting with first-time home buyers who maybe aren't ready, maybe they're 6 months to a year away. Because I can meet with you early and we can sort of look at your situation and we can see where some of the bumps in the road might be, and we can solve for those before you even get started, so the whole process becomes really smooth. All right, some common mistakes that I see in my industry is that people will start house shopping before they're fully pre-approved. And it makes things really tricky if I'm in the middle of, getting documents from you and trying to verify your income and trying to verify that down payment, and then all of a sudden, oh, well, we're looking at this house tonight, we really want to make an offer, like, how much do you think? And I was like, well, give me the proper amount of time to get this done. Maybe hold off on shopping, let's get this pre-approval done first. And typically, once all the documents are into me, I only need 1 business day to get that together. Now, like I mentioned on the last slide, taking on new debt can be one of the biggest mistakes that you can do either before or mid-process. If you took on a $700 car payment and you make the average amount of salary in Canada, it can reduce your purchasing power by 60 grand. See what I mean by buy the car after you buy the house, if you can, if you need a new one. Another mistake I see is people moving money around without documentation, taking out large cash, dumping in large cash. For down payments, we love it if all of your down payment can sit in an account for 3 months. Because anti-money laundering laws in Canada require us to track all your deposits for 90 days. And if there's big deposits that we don't have an explanation for, then we might not be able to use those funds. I mentioned this on the last slide as well. Changing jobs right before closing is another common mistake. Always wait until we have possession of the house if there's going to be a job change on the horizon, if possible. Okay, another mistake is overutilizing your credit or paying your bills late. We want to make sure that we keep your credit score over 680. That's the magic number. 680 gives you access to all the best interest rates. So doing things like overutilizing your credit, like if you're going to use more than 75% of the capacity of the credit that you have, or paying bills late, that's going to knock your score down. Even if you are being mostly responsible, making little mistakes like that can cause your credit score to tumble a little bit. Focusing only on the rate instead of the full mortgage picture. Does anybody know what the rates have been doing for the last week? Bombing? No, they're doing the opposite. They are on a rocket projection north this last week because of what's happening in Iran. So things are a little bit unstable right now. So I noticed that, especially first-time buyers, if they're really looking into the numbers and are spreadsheet types of people, they really wring their hands over the rate. I say we get the best rate. I will always get you the best rate that you qualify for. And we're only gonna have this rate for a couple of years. And then you can get a different rate. We can talk about strategies, but really the goal is to get the house. Does anybody know, I bought my first house almost 20 years ago. Do you know what the rates were then?
Wasn't it like 7 or
Yeah,
6?
my first house was 7%, 7.2% interest rate. And now we're sort of sitting mid-4s. Last few days been climbing up into upper 4s. And you know what? Your payment's just gonna be what it is for 5 years. A lot of people want that best rate so that when everybody at work is talking about the rate that they have, that they can win that argument. The win is that you got the house. Because it's kind of like the gas prices. Does anybody notice what the gas prices have done the last couple of weeks? I mean, it would have been nice to get the price 2 weeks ago that gas was today, right? Like my tank's empty and I already know I'm gonna pay $172.9 on the drive home. We can't turn back the clock and get that rate that was there 2 weeks ago. We can get you a rate hold once you're fully pre-approved, and we can hold that rate for 90 to 120 days. But until you're pre-approved, the rates are just gonna do what the rates are gonna do. So I say, don't wring your hands too much about it. It's my job to make sure you get the best rate that's available to you. All right, the last thing on this slide is hiding information from me or from a lender and hoping things go well. Because we have access to your credit score, which shows all of your credit history. And then we also have to look at bank statements. And if you start, whiting things out before you send them in, or, oh yeah, I bought a car after I got approved, we're gonna find out. So it's a good idea to keep us informed so that we can help navigate through whatever's going on. So when you get pre-approved, make sure you're completely honest and not hiding any info from us, because we're on your team. We're working for you to get you your mortgage. All right, I think that's all I had to present for today, and I'm gonna pass it back to Harvey. Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Jeremy, you're up.
Okay. We love to talk in small groups, bigger groups, it is what it is. All right, so I'm Jeremy. I'm a home inspector. I've got a few of you that I recognize your faces. Seen you last week. So basically I'm gonna go through the process, the reasoning why you call me, the reasoning why I recommend you call me, why Harvey recommends you calling me, and why most mortgage brokers and lawyers like that you call me as well. Does this work, Harvey?
Next button, just the arrow.
Okay, so what my home inspection is, it's an evaluation of the condition of the house. You want to know everything you can about the house so you know what you're paying for. Going in and looking at the house, it's always best that you make sure that house is going to work for you, and Harvey's going to take you through that kind of process. And then once I'm in, I'm going to tear it apart. I'm going to find the problems. I'm going to look through everything. I'm climbing crawl spaces. I'm climbing in attics. I'm all over it. So I'm looking for major issues, minor issues, and just basically giving you that full view of the house so you understand the at inspection time condition of the house. So you're prepared for anything you have to deal with, or if we come across stuff that you're just, nope, I don't want to, now's your chance to use that if you're in a condition point or pre-offer to make your decision at that point. Again, I talk ahead of my slides, sorry. So I'm identifying safety concerns, going through what could be expensive repairs, how long, give you a timeline as to, say, your furnace is gonna be good for 3 to 5 years, be prepared. Or this furnace needs to go, or this has been replaced, that kind of thing. So just helping you understand what's going on with the house. So I always get the question of what I'm looking at, how I'm doing it, and all of those different things. I'm climbing the roof. I'm walking around outside. I've got a full array of tools and knowledge that I've used over the last 8 years inspecting and 25 years of building and renovating houses. So I didn't just jump into this for fun. I did it because I enjoy digging through houses and helping people understand these things. So foundation structure. Sometimes you come into a house that's got a completely finished basement. How can I tell you if it's good or bad? There's other things that I look at, and understanding the whole house as a whole, not just looking at a foundation. Foundation can be problematic and be hidden behind things, but there's stuff throughout the rest of the house that I'm looking at that follows a pattern. There's always patterns in a house. It's not just one section. Everything's broken down into different sections, especially once I start building a report for you, because that's the simple way to put it. But I'm looking at the house as a whole and a functioning unit as a whole. Again, just going through everything, checking windows, checking doors, going around the grading, checking drainage. This is a great time of year for inspecting because with the melt, I can see where the water's going. I can see if it's getting in. I use a whole bunch of other tools as well just to see what's going on there. Some of the pictures, most of these pictures you're seeing on here is all me inspecting houses. That's just right off my phone, right off my camera. So I have 2 types of inspections I do. Well, I have more than that, but the base of the 2 type. I have a verbal pre-offer inspection where when you're coming into a house, there's an offer date. I will come through the house with you to show you the condition of it. So when you are writing that offer, you're prepared to put your best foot forward, or prepared to decide maybe this one's not for you and you don't offer. But the pre-offer verbal inspection is just as it sounds. No report, straight through, complete through the entire house. We usually have a little bit of a limited time structure because it's based on a viewing time, not an inspection time. When we get into the full offer inspection, that's where you've got the accepted offer, you have the condition of a mortgage, you have the condition of lawyer's approval, you have all those different conditions on there, like the inspection. That's where we go through the house. We do get a little more time, but I'm also need more time because I'm documenting everything. The pre-offer verbal can lead into a full inspection as I offer a different type of service with that. If we do a verbal, bidding war comes, you win, you get the house. You can't remember the first thing I told you about this, but you do know you like the house. That's where you call me. I'll come back on possession day or shortly after. I always like possession day because if there is problems that the sellers were supposed to take care of or something along those lines, I'm now in the house with you and you'll get that report with documenting everything that I find. So I don't push it. If you don't want it, you don't need it. It's up to the client, but always get me through a house to make sure you're aware of everything going on. Everybody has a different knowledge. My knowledge is houses. You might be, who knows, a hockey player, golfer, something. You don't know houses. You're just looking to buy a great house and you want to make sure you're protected and you're not going to buy something that's going to cost you thousands of dollars in the long run. That's a little bit of my background, what I've done, what I know, what I do. I've got 25 years of construction experience, right from out of high school. 8 years inspecting homes, certified, trained. I'm also wet certified, so if you know anybody with a house that has a wood burning furnace, a wood stove, I'm certified to inspect those as well because I'm a firm believer of understanding and knowing everything I can about the house so that I can help my clients know what's going on with their houses. I'm also, so the one at the very bottom, FLIR certified, most people don't understand that. FLIR is infrared cameras. As you can see, the real estate agent sitting on the couch while I'm working, chilling back with his feet up. That's not Harvey. I know who that is, I can tell you, but he'd probably kill me. But infrared is an amazing tool to see everything inside the walls that you can't see with the naked eye. It can help me to see if there's insulation issues in a wall, sometimes foundation issues, leaks, all of those different things. And for me, that's why I carry the tool belt that I carry with me. I've also used a drone. So if you're looking at a 2-story, 3-story house, I'm still gonna tell you what's going on with the roof of that house. Unless it's the middle of winter, we got 6 feet of snow on the roof, that's a little bit of a different story, but I've still dug through snowbanks to get through to see everything for you. And there's my information at the end. So I know Harvey's doing a question period at the end, so I'm a little quick here, but I'll pass it back to Harvey and we'll keep it going.
And just so you know how Jeremy also works, on 2 of our inspections, we actually spent a whole hour just looking at the foundation in the basement. And both of our clients, we actually recommended that they not proceed with the house due to foundation stuff. And yeah, that just like speaks how in depth it goes. We spent a full hour just trying to problem solve a basement, which is what we do because we want to take care of you guys and make sure you guys get a house that is worth it for you. As you guys already know, I'm Harvey. I am one of the real estate agents. This is my wife, Sarah, myself. This was when we were younger and not as chubby, I guess. We are a husband and wife real estate team. We work together. I have had 10 years experience in healthcare and actually management. My wife has had experience, previous career was social services. So the one thing that we bring to the table is care. We really care about our clients, and we care about, care is at the core of what we want our business to be like. So when dealing with our clients, the thing that is most important to us is clear communication, honesty, doing what is best for our clients, the things that are most, and genuinely meeting them where they are at. So everybody is in a different life stage. And so it's important to us to really tailor our services to the life stage that you guys are at, not for you guys to change what you want to what we think you should want. That is not what it's about. Our goal is always to decrease the stress, because we think that the more we can communicate with you, the more we can actually educate you, the less stress there will be. There will always be stress with buying a house. Some of you guys are buyers and you guys know how this goes, so there is always going to be stress. But I would be more worried if there was not stress than if there is a little bit of stress. But if we can decrease that and make it less scary, that is always our goal. So what's different to us? Well, if you work with me, you get Sarah. If you work with Sarah, you get me. We're a 2-for-1 deal kind of a thing. So you get 2 agents that are there. When one agent, like when I'm busy, Sarah's going to be there to help out. When she's busy, I'll be there to help out as well. So that's one thing that we can bring to it, where we just have more people there to support you. For us, it's not about a transaction. It is really about achieving your goals. And setting you and your family up for success in that house, but also in the future. We don't want you necessarily, unless you really want to, overpay on a house so much so that in the future you're not going to see that return come back. We believe the opposite. We believe that we want you guys to buy a house that will actually help you in the future, and that will almost be like a stepping stone / a deposit for your next home, potentially dream home. We're a family business. Through and through. So when you work with us, you're gonna get to know me, you're gonna get to know Sarah, and inevitably you're going to get to know both of our boys as well. It's just kind of how it goes in our family. We're just a family business. So that's one thing that we bring to the table. And we're really passionate about first-time buyers. We're really passionate about young families, because we're living that life ourselves, and really serving our community, being educational, and just making the buying and selling process easier. So I got a question for you guys. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't. As one person, or whoever wants to answer it first, what kind of market are we in right now?
Buyers.
Seller's market.
Seller's market. Do you want to pass this all the way back to Jackie? So we are in a seller's market right now. That's why I waited to go to the next slide. By the way, Owen, 7 months, Caleb, 3 years, he's already on the computer. He actually sometimes talks about emailing and I'm working kind of a thing, so, and then us right there. But 2025, we saw a decreasing interest rate, which caused increased competition because interest rates decreased, more buyers came into the market, there was a lower inventory of houses for sale. What that does is it's basically supply and demand. there was more demand than there was supply, so houses went for higher, there was multiple offers, and prices just went up. Currently, what we're saying, and this is, I just got corrected today, we were in a more stable interest rates. The last week or so, we've seen a little fluctuation that's happening. So what we are seeing though right now, we're like in an early springs market where we're having low inventory, so less houses for sale, but we're having a lot of buyers still out there trying to buy houses. So if you have 100 people that are trying to buy and you have 10 houses, obviously those 10 houses are going to sell for more, right? The hope is that that will change, and that is exactly what a seller's market is. It is lots of buyers, less houses, meaning those houses sell for more. The predictions for 2026, again, if interest rates stable out, they are up right now with the whole thing that's going on in the world, I guess. It's become a little bit more unstable as of just recently. Interest rates stable out, it technically will still maintain a seller's market. And the reason why is that we don't think that our inventory is going to get back up. It's not going to really equalize with our buyers. So we still will have more buyers out there versus houses available for sale. And so that equalizes a seller's market. The hope is that we will see an increase in houses coming to the market, which will then hopefully kind of bring that competition down a little bit. But the way it looks right now, it looks like it's going to be a seller's market still this year, which means, again, bidding wars and higher prices. And this is the whole reason we're having this event, because the more you know, the more you're prepared, the easier you will still be able to get a house even in a market like this. So we want to talk about mistakes to avoid when you're looking to buy in a market like this. This again is not to scare you, this is simply to say you gotta be ready. Starting without a strategy. A lot of buyers think, oh, you know what, I'm gonna just start looking at houses, and then, oh, I found a house, I'll just put an offer in, but they haven't prepared anything beforehand. Taryn touched on this in terms of the pre-approval. That is exactly backwards. In fact, the way it should be is meet with a real estate agent, know what the market is doing, at the same time get a pre-approval, then at that time start looking at houses and be ready to put an offer in, because the market is moving fast right now. The strongest buyers are ready to act quick, and the next slide I'll explain exactly what I mean with quick. It's not rushed, but being prepared to act. The second mistake is waiting too long to make a decision. In a market that we are seeing right now, houses that are decent houses and good houses and renovated houses even more so are moving quickly. So delaying and seeing those houses just because we're not ready means that you are losing out on an opportunity of potentially buying that kind of house. So let's look at a general kind of trajectory of a house being listed and being sold. So generally, you're looking at a house being listed on a Sunday. Let's say a Sunday. Generally, it is a Sunday or Monday. Comes to the market. Monday or Tuesday, the next 2 days, it's ready for showing, and then it shows for about 5 to 7 days. Then the following week, about Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, there's an offer date. So you have a 10-day window to put an offer in, to be prepared, and to put an offer in. And if you're looking at houses on day 5, and you're not ready, you're not pre-approved, but you want to put an offer in, if you go to the bank, you're probably looking at least 5 business days to get a pre-approval ready, especially with getting them the documents. If you go to Taryn, she still needs to get the documents from you. So she can do it quicker, but it depends on documents to her. And some of those documents take a little bit longer to get, especially if you're looking from an employer's, like a letter of employment from your boss. That sometimes can take longer. So that's where we're saying being prepared is everything. Not being prepared is going to get you in a position where you're going to potentially fall in love with the house, but not be able to put an offer on the house. And that is honestly the worst feeling. The goal is not to be rushed. Like I said, the goal is absolutely not to be rushed. In fact, 10 days seems like it's rushed, right? But if you're ready, if you know what your strategy is, if you know what your budget is, if you know what the market is, you're ready to act quick without being rushed and without making a decision out of fear or out of emotion, because that is when you're going to make mistakes. Mistake number, a poor offer strategy. Purchasing price, everybody knows that purchasing price is a big deal, right? I probably think we would agree that that might be one of the top things to get a strong offer. But that is not the only factor that will help you get the strong offer. There's a whole lot of other factors that we need to address to make the strongest offer we can. For example, deposit amount. A higher deposit amount is always going to make your offer stronger. Now, not everyone can do that, and that is absolutely understandable. But in terms of if you want to make the strongest offer, that is one way of making your offer stronger. Possession date. When you accommodate the seller's possession date, that's gonna be more favorable to you because you're trying to entice the seller to pick your offer versus someone else's. And if someone else can't give them the possession date they want and they have kids that need to be in school, those factors can make a huge difference. So accommodating their possession date is gonna be extremely helpful. Conditions. Does anyone know what the two most common conditions are? Inspection is one. Financing is another one. I'll pass that on to him and I'll give you one too. So I'll get you later. So basically, those are the two conditions that are the most common. It's the inspection and the financing condition. Now, we want to protect your money, so we are not talking about pulling your financing condition. But what we're talking about is inspection. And Jeremy talked about this. A lot of people only think that they can do an offer in the inspection after the offer gets accepted. And actually, you know what? You can do it before. If you find a house that you really like, our suggestion is going to be, first of all, our suggestion is we're going to look at the house together and we're going to say, hey, are there any red flags? Then it's going to be up to you to decide, hey, do you want to do an inspection on the house or not? If you want to do an inspection, we're going to tell you we need to do a pre-offer inspection if you want to be in the running. The reason why, if anyone puts a condition of an inspection on the offer, generally if there's another offer exactly like yours, but without the inspection, the seller is going to take that offer because it's less risky for them. Now, hear me out. The seller, this is how it goes. When you put in a condition, if the seller accepts an offer with a condition, that means that after the offer is accepted, that's when you do the inspection. Now, you go in and you do the inspection. You find something that you didn't find before, and you're like, I don't really like this. Now you're in the driver's seat. Now you can do three things. You can accept the offer still, accept what is wrong with the house and just deal with it. You can choose to say, I don't like that, so I'm gonna pull my offer altogether. Or you can say, you know what, I still don't like that. I'm gonna go back to the seller and say, hey, I found this. I don't wanna pay this price anymore. I wanna pay further down there. So you are in the driver's seat when the inspection is after the fact, and that is why sellers don't like it. That's why sellers are gonna always pick an offer that does not have the condition of an inspection. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Okay. I really want to make sure that was clear. It can get a little confusing. The other thing is also, we talked about financing condition. There's a way around that because you might be thinking, oh, but there's some offers that go through that like don't have any financing. Yes, they do. They are riskier. One way to mitigate that is we would be reaching out, and we do this every single time with our clients. We reach out to Taryn and we say, hey, Taryn, our clients want to put an offer on this house tomorrow. Can we get a pre-approval letter for them so that we can attach that to the offer? That will tell the seller, that will tell the agent, hey, these guys say they're offering this price. They actually have the money, they went the right route, they got a pre-approval, they are good for the money to buy that house for that price. That gives confidence again in your offer versus saying, I hope they have the money. No, we want to tell them they have the money, they can do this, they have been approved. So that is a way around not pulling your financing condition. Personal letter. Has anyone heard about a personal letter? Those that haven't written one. Have you guys heard of that? So, does it work?
Yes.
Sometimes.
So here's a story I have. I think I've told some of you guys this already. But 4 months ago, my clients put an offer on the house. And they only had a certain budget, like everyone does. The house had 7 offers. The house, there was one offer that was $20,000 higher than our clients' offer. Guess which offer they chose? Ours. The reason why they chose ours was the other 6 people that put the offer in, they were all investors. They were going to take this house that this gentleman had cared for and meticulously maintained and was proud of. You could tell they were going to take that lot, subdivide it, tear down the house, tear down the garage, and build infill houses on it. It basically is a way of getting more money, rent, and selling the property later on. But my client was like, no, I want to live there. And I thought this client was a little bit rough around the edges, like he's never going to write a letter to the seller. He actually wrote a letter. I heard from the agent, after he had read that letter, he was almost crying because it touched him. And basically he's like, he had told the agent, I cannot accept a different offer because I can't walk by this house, because he lived close by. I can't walk by this and constantly see these other houses that are there and the house that he had maintained being broken down. So does a letter to the seller work? Absolutely. That is only one example. We have more examples as well, but that is the one that sticks out the most. So it does absolutely work. And think about it this way. You want to do absolutely everything possible to just inch your offer slightly above the other offer. So all of these things need to be addressed, but you want to make your offer the most enticing possible. The last thing that we would say in terms of being able to make a stronger offer is working with experienced agents. The reason why is this: when we have a client that is looking at putting an offer in, we will reach out to the agents and we will do things in a certain way that is not taking advantage of their time, not wasting their time. We want to communicate clearly with them because we want to show them, hey, we are doing things right, and give them confidence in us as real estate agents, which also gives them confidence in the offer that we're putting forward. So is it playing a game? I don't think it's playing a game. I think it's more so just doing your job so well that they have such confidence in you and that you have such a good name that they're willing to say, hey, I trust the offer from Sarah and Harvey better than I trust the offer from whoever else, because I've dealt with them in the past and this is how they do their thing and they do it right. And that does go a far way to give your offer more confidence as well. I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but I'm passionate about this stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, really quickly, strategies for a strong offer, because we talked about most of these already. Strong deposit, 3 to 5% of the purchase price. So $5,000 would be your minimum. Again, the more you can do, the better. A flexible possession date, or getting the possession date that the seller wants. Limiting your conditions, or completing them before the offer date. Having a pre-approval letter. Having a personal letter to the seller, and if you have a dog or if you have a kid that you can put a picture in, also helps. And working with a strong, with a good agent that has your best interest in mind. And I know it's funny, but it's true. A dog or a kid helps. Buyer tips that we would talk about really quickly. When you see, has anyone seen offers as received? Does anybody really know, other than the people that are actually actively looking, know what that means? I know I'm constantly excluding you guys. So what it means is this. Generally, I told you guys a timeline of a house that goes to the market, but when you see offers as received, what that means is that the person who is selling the house, they're looking at offers as they come in. So if you like that house, you see it on Monday, it's in your best interest to get in that house on Monday, because if you like that house, you can put an offer on Monday. They might already even accept it on Monday. The thing is, if you wait too long, that gives other people the opportunity to actually put an offer on that house. So offers as received just simply means they're looking at the offers the moment they come in. Cosigner, Taryn talked about this really quickly as well. It just simply allows you to increase your pre-approval and just be pre-approved for a bit more. I would always say, talk to Taryn about that to make sure that you guys have that proper plan in place, just because of when you want to take someone off the mortgage as well. Gift for down payment as well, and the deposit, that is what Taryn talked about as well. It just allows you to have more access to money immediately if you want to have a bigger deposit, not down payment, deposit. And yes, your deposit goes towards your down payment, just for you guys to be aware of. As first-time home buyers, again, like I said, your first house should not be your dream house, because it's going to be hard to attain because it's going to be higher price point. Your first house should be your stepping stone to your dream house. It should be your deposit for your dream house. So buy a house that needs some updating and fixing. The reason I say this, if there's a house that is updated and renovated from top to bottom, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get 90% of the people that are going to look at that house, and they're going to like that as well. You want to actually have people that don't want to have the house because they have to do a little bit of work. The reason I say this, for example, maybe their basement is straight out of the 70s. Maybe, there's a little wall that you can consider taking down. Maybe it needs a fresh paint. Maybe it needs a little bit of flooring. Something like that can actually help you not only get the house, but once you put that work in and you do it, it increases the value of it. Now, 10 years down the road, and you've lived in it, and you've updated it, and you've kept up with the house, now your house is selling for more, you sell it, and your return is gonna be higher. It really makes a huge difference once you do put the work into it. Pride of ownership shows immediately. You can walk into a house and you can see immediately if they've really taken well care of it or not. And updates really help to increase the value of a house as well. And lastly, buying a house where you can potentially rent out the basement would be really helpful to add, to take a bit of that load off of your mortgage. So basically meaning that if you're renting out the basement, you can actually put that money that you're getting towards your mortgage. Now you're actually paying less mortgage, right? So it just makes sense. There are some government incentives that I would always say talk to Taryn about or talk to a financial advisor about as well, because that might be something you might want to take advantage of. Really quickly, the home buying process. This is kind of how it looks. You do have a sheet with you that does go a bit more into detail on that, but first of all, you want to meet with an agent, you want to look at what the market is, you want to know what's actually to expect. That way you're not expecting something that is unreasonable. The worst thing to do is to think about the buying process in a certain way, or that you can get a certain house, but then realize all of a sudden while you're looking, you can't get it, or you put an offer in and it goes for way more, right? So just talk to an agent, get to know the market, know what's going on. At the same time as well, get a pre-approval. This is going to help you to know exactly what you can actually afford. Once you get that, then you start shopping. Now you go to open houses, you go and look at private showings as well. And once you like a house, don't just see it once, go see it a few times, because the second time, other things are gonna stick out. Bring trusted friends or family along to see it for the second time, because they will point out some things that you guys didn't think about, right? That just helps to kind of make sure that you're not making a decision on a emotion or on the excitement of a house, but that you're also thinking logically. That's where we come in. I always tell people we are like the even keel. We are like the ones that are going to tell you absolutely what we think in the best way possible, but making sure that we don't allow the emotions to take over. Once you like a house, if you want to put a pre-inspection in, we do the pre-offer inspection. That way we know exactly what the house is, how it is, and that allows us to budget on how much we actually want to put into it versus how much you need to get or need to keep for renovations or any kind of repairs. Then we put in the offer. Once the offer is accepted, we're under contract, but we're waiting for either inspection or appraisal or the financing condition to come through. Once that comes through, that's when it's a final sale. And at that point in time, the next step would be closer to possession date, meeting with the lawyers. And then once all the documents are signed, your other down payment, the rest of the down payment is gone in, then it's waiting for the keys. Once you get the keys, on possession date, we come with you, and if you want, Jeremy will come as well to make sure that the house is in order, that the things that they said are working when you get in, because if that's not, we will go to the agent and we will also go to the lawyer to make sure that that is rectified for you guys, because if there was a promise made that something should be working when you move in, it should be working, and if that is not, then we need to rectify that, or the other side needs to rectify that. The one thing to really say really quickly as well, between being under contract and getting the keys, you cannot make major financial changes. You cannot go and take out a loan. You cannot go and buy a car. You cannot change your job. The reason why is because your lender will actually re-look at all your financial stuff before possession date if there has been major changes. And at that point in time, if you've done something that you shouldn't have done and you've paid money into, gone on a big trip, spent a lot of money here or there, now all of a sudden you're not approved for the same amount of mortgage and you have to make up the difference in cash. And that's one thing that people don't realize, but it's something to definitely be aware of so that you're that, and then even worst case scenario, fall or not get the house after that. So something to be super aware about. I could go on and on, as you guys can tell, I'm a talker, but that we're gonna leave it at that because you can only do 15 minutes so long. I probably went over anyway, but I would encourage you guys, if you guys are looking at buying, I would encourage you guys, or I would not encourage, I would invite you guys to let us take you out for coffee, to have a simple conversation about what the market is, what you guys are looking for, how we can help you. It's zero commitment whatsoever. It's literally just trying to provide you more information. If at that point in time you feel like, oh, you know what, I don't think, we jive, or, we're just not connecting, that is totally fine. If we can bring some value to you guys, that's what we want to do. If we can help you further, absolutely that is our goal. If not, that is A-okay as well, okay? So that's it for me. I will zip it, and I will hand it over to Grace from Castellano Law Corporation.
Hi everybody, I'm Grace Webb. I am the senior paralegal at Castellano Law. We're just down the street on Henderson. I legal specifically for 22 years. So when I first started, we were filling out land titles documents with a typewriter. So that's so, I've been with Castellano Law since Sarah opened the firm. And before I just get into this, I just want to say, my first time buying a house, I had already been a paralegal doing just real estate for 10 years. And it was still stressful. Like, it was still, even the legal work involved, I wanted to be constantly re-looking at the math and doing the numbers and stuff like that. And for that reason, because I remember that, I will have all the time in the world for our first-time home buyers. If they have questions, I want to walk them through it. Clients are always saying, I'm sorry I'm asking so many questions. Ask me. I want you to go to bed tonight and not worry about this, Let me be up at 3 a.m. worrying about it. All right, so we'll get into this. So our job as your law office is to take you from the point where you have your offer accepted to where you get title to your house and you've got your keys and you get to move in and do all the fun stuff that you have to go through this for. So when your offer is accepted, we're going to get a copy from your real estate agent's office, and then our office sends out an introductory email kind of giving you the basics of the process. You're also going to make sure that your mortgage broker gets a copy of that contract. Usually your agent will send that to them. So I'm just going to see here. There we go. Okay, so we've already gone through some of this about what you're going to do to get your financing ready. So at our office, once we get the offer to purchase, we've sent you out that introductory email, and then we're kind of playing the waiting game on our end. We can't really move forward from that point until we have the mortgage instructions. The bank will send us mortgage instructions and tell us how they want all of your documents prepared. They're going to tell us what they require us to do for you. So for example, if we need to purchase title insurance, that's something we can go over later. If we need to satisfy any specific financing conditions, they're going to tell all of that to us. And then we take that and we prepare what's called closing costs. So we look at your offer to purchase, and we look at these mortgage instructions, and we look at everything that the bank requires